Good morning and welcome to It's Just Sad Live. I'm Jeremiah. I'll be your host today, as always. We've got a good one for you today. We've got some good stuff. Oh, that's really loud. We're gonna turn that off. Oh, I don't know why that's so loud. Goodness gracious. Good morning. All right. So today, as you know, lately I have been talking a little bit about, or a lot about, the fact that I have borderline personality disorder. Now, with that, I want you all to know, comes a great sense, a great fear of abandonment. Okay? So, it's affected a lot of my relationships. Now, recently I had some really big breakthroughs. I had a lot of time recently to reflect. Now, reflection to me is my greatest, let's say, ally when it comes to battling and coping with borderline personality disorder in my relationships, because that's where it affects me most. And when I say relationships, I mean all my relationships. I mean my relationships with my spouse, my relationship with my children, with my family, with my friends. It affects all of them so greatly. Basically, the way I interpret it, the way I feel it, is that I have a hard time processing emotions, and my emotions are so overwhelming. All of them, everything when it comes down to it, it's mind numbing, and it all bases in my fears of being abandoned. Okay, that everybody's gonna leave me, that no one's gonna care for me. And with that comes lots of extra schemas, lots of extra anxiety, a lot of extra shame. There's a lot of shame in this one, let me tell you. So today we're gonna look into some signs that maybe we have some fears of abandonment, things that I've dealt with in the past. I'm gonna elaborate on them as I go through them. I have myself an outline today. I know last time we didn't really have one, but the thing about this is, and I want you to keep this in mind the whole time I'm talking about this, is now in my life, I realize that people love me, and a lot of that started when I decided to love myself. That was a secret. That was a big one, because I had a lot of fears, a lot of problems when it came to not understanding what I was going through. A lot of self-esteem issues, because growing up, it wasn't, in our time, it wasn't really, let's say, copacetic. It wasn't really thought of to tell the people that you were, tell your children, how great they were doing, or, if you were proud of them, or things like that. Not to say my parents didn't do any of that. It just wasn't mainstream as it is today. Like last night, for instance, my daughter, we went to gymnastics, and it was this great program for the first time, and it was like dropping her off at school for the first time, and because it was so segregated, it was so parents weren't allowed near the kids, and that was hard for me. It wasn't hard for her at all. She got through it, she got over it, she went through it fine. But for me, I wasn't able to interact with her. So it was more of a separation for me, but watching her, I was so unbelievably proud of her, just to see her in her element, and, flying around and playing on the beams, and she just did so great. And, when she got done, I told her that. I couldn't tell her enough times how proud I was of her, and it was just nice to see her out of her own shell and comfortable in her skin, and I told her these things, but that's the way we do it now. That's the way our generation raises their kids. We build them up because that's what we're supposed to do. So me growing up, it was, it was the expectation. Children were seen and not heard. When you were doing good, it was what was expected of you. Things like that, and that raised a different type of person, now versus what where we wanted to be. So unfortunately, as I've gotten older, through my relationships that I've had, through the things I've done, through the alcoholism, things like that, it was really tough for me to understand that people love me, because I didn't love me as much as I was supposed to, or as much as I should, you know. And this has all changed, but these are all reflections that I've had through the years, as I've evolved, as I've grown. So today we're going to go over some signs that that we may or may not suffer from fears of abandonment, that people are going to leave us, that nobody loves us, that in the end we're going to end up alone. Those are realistic fears that I used to have. And I'm going to tell you something real true here. When I went to rehab, the lady that was taking care of me, God bless her soul, God bless this woman's soul. She actually, one of the constant themes I had going through my time is that my wife didn't love me, or that so-and-so didn't care for me, or my parents didn't love me, or that my relationships were all fake. They were just, they only loved me if I was drunk or something like that, if I was being funny, or I could give to them, or I could serve them. These were fears I had before. They were unrealistic, they were unfounded, they were not true. I'm going to make that very clear from the start. My wife's always loved me, but it was my own fears that had barred me from opening up completely. Okay, so what we did is she asked her to write a letter to me, telling me what she felt. Now, this is very personal. When I got that letter, it was 4 pages long. All right, 4 pages long of the things I'd done, of the way she felt, and you got to understand, at this time I went to rehab as my last ditch effort to save my life. All right, it was turmoil. Life was shattered. I had pretty much lost everything. Okay, there wasn't much left for me. So I got this 4-page letter of love, and that's what it took for me, for someone, the woman that was taking care of me, and I hate to call her a therapist because she's way more than that, actually told me, she had to tell me, she's like, this person loves you. This person took their time, and their feelings, and they poured it out on the paper to tell you how much they love you. And that's what it took in that time. Today it's different, but then that's what it consisted of. So, that's what it took for me to understand that she loves me unconditionally. That and to feel that, and I remember that in that moment, to get that rush of feeling, of finally feeling and knowing that somebody loved me, because I had blocked everything. I had blocked everything with alcohol and drugs. I was just not this person I am now, I remember that warm, wonderful feeling that just flooded over me. And I hope that everybody that's watching this, that people that this reaches, can one day, or maybe they have already, can get that feeling, because it's amazing. All right, when you realize that people love you. I had doubts even about my children, and I was hiding it all with alcohol and stuff like that. So I hope, I pray that you feel this, that you're able to understand that the people that tell you they love you, do love you, and that you are a great person, and you have endearing qualities. That's the hardest part I had to get to, was that people found good things in me, even though I wasn't drunk. It was just an amazing, I remember the moment. I remember it all like it was yesterday. It was wonderful. So some of the things that I dealt with before I was able to understand that people love me, before I was able to get past these fears of abandonment, was that I constantly was seeking reassurance from the people that I cared for, seeking validation. I was saying things like, I love you, just to hear it back. And that's not because of anything other than my own fears. I wasn't saying it to project my love into somebody else. I was saying it so that I could get that back. I would ask people, how do I look today? Am I doing things right? I would ask my employers for reviews at work to be reassured that I was performing correctly. Is that crazy? That's crazy to me now. That's crazy for me to think that that was my norm. That was what I had to do all the time to get that validation. Because we all want validated. We all want to know that what we're doing is right, or that the way we look is nice, or something like that. We all want to feel that. We all want to be reassured of it. And that's why, people, it's so important that when you see something, or I see something, or I, like last night with my daughter, when I saw her doing well, I needed to tell her. So it's important that when you see these things to say them, but it's not so important to go looking for them. That was where my curse was, is I needed to hear it, and I went looking for it. And if I couldn't get it where I was trying to get it from, God, man, I was going somewhere else for it. And that caused a whole other ball of wax in itself, So I was constantly seeking reassurance from others, and I was way over clingy, man, way over protective of my relationships and the people that I was dependent on for this validation. You know what I mean? It was constant. Like, what are you doing? Why are you on your phone? What are you doing on your phone? Who are you talking to? Why are you looking at that person? Why is that person liking all your stuff? These were all fears, And this is the thing, is that I'm telling you this because this is internal of me, Morning, Kim. How are you? How are you? It's good to see you. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for that, Kim. I'm not going to do that because I feel it's a little personal for me, but I really appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that, because it has been quite the trek, and it's taken me a lot of time, but it's also been a really, inward searching journey here. So I appreciate that. But listen, yeah, in my past, I was very, very clingy, very dependent, very. Morning, Fred. How are you, man? Good to see you. I was always, asking, afraid that they were, jealous. I was jealous, if someone was liking their stuff, and if someone would share something on their page or something like that, well, I would separate. It didn't matter the sexes. It was everything, you know what I mean? It was all inclusive, and that was really hard. And I was always anxious and panicked when someone wasn't available to me. When someone had something else going, work. There was a time in my life when someone I was with, they worked at a job that didn't allow them to be on their phone, didn't allow them to respond. And I expected that. I needed that. If I said, I love you, I needed to hear that back within like 5 minutes, man. Or I was like, what's going on? Why don't you love me? I remember one time, I had, this is very early in one of my relationships. I couldn't get a hold of the girl, and I had done something, and I was worried she was mad, and because I was so used to that, I was worried she was ghosting me, that she was gonzo. You know what I mean? She was in the grocery store and left her phone in the car. At the time, I learned that, but I remember that time, man. I remember being so upset. I remember being so scared, and this was all because of my own shortcomings. This is all because of my own fears about myself, my own self-doubt, and there was always that persistent just fear and anxiety, And when I say anxiety, I don't just mean like, oh my God, what's going on? And I mean, my anxiety would be so bad that I would sweat, and my hair would stand up on the back of my neck, and I would get chills, And this is the way I felt anytime I was alone, And that's a problem, because it was affecting my health. I don't know if any of you know, but anxiety isn't just something that you feel once and it's gone. It affects your overall health. All right. So, now we're gonna get into some things that we can that I have done, that I have driven into my head, into my soul, into my emotions to help me deal with these fears of abandonment. Because today, I mean, it's not always rainbows and butterflies, man. I'm not perfect. I don't practice perfection. I practice progress, okay? And I've said that a million times, and I'll say it a million more, okay? But listen, today, my relationships, I like to feel that they are healthy, all right? Because of what I'm about to tell you, because of the things that I'm about to tell you have enabled me to have healthier relationships, that I'm not afraid, and then at the same time, if someone does leave, if someone does for some reason decide to cut me out of their life, that I'm prepared for that I'm able to cope with that, because the truth of the matter is, people, they're going to come and go. People aren't always going to be there for whatever reasons, for their own reasons, for maybe they moved, you know what I mean? The therapist, that's a big one for me. Abandonment by therapists, my last therapist had to leave. Thank God I have the one I have now, it happened for a reason, but she had to go. And that was, it was easy for me. But I remember my first real therapist that I lost because they PCS'd, man. It was devastating. I cried for days. I was afraid I couldn't get back into therapy. It was just horrible, man. But the last time it happened, I was able to take it in stride because of the things I'm about to tell you. All right, so listen. So the first thing we're going to do, that we're going to recognize and acknowledge our feelings. All right, it's important to acknowledge your fear of abandonment and accept that it's a valid feeling. Do not shame yourself. I cannot shame myself anymore. I cannot put myself down for the way I feel. All right, and feel guilty about it. That's horrible. And it's a cycle, because then you get into that cycle of abuse towards yourself. And it's nobody else doing it to you. It's nobody else doing it to me. It's myself doing it. And that's a bad cycle to be in. Because everybody knows the cycle of abuse, right? Everybody knows how that works. And it just keeps going in a big circle. That's why it's called a cycle, guys. It just keeps going in that big, giant circle. And then you're just this depleted pile of nothingness because you didn't validate your own feelings. Not getting it from somebody else. That's important. Validating our own feelings. Identify the root cause. Understanding the underlying reasons for your fear of abandonment can help you address it more effectively. This is very important. Education. Understanding, going back, being honest. Understanding why we have these fears. Why we have these doubts. That's so important. And usually to me, it went back to childhood. It went back to my first girlfriend. So understanding and seeking and being honest with ourselves. That's so important. All right, practice self-care, self-care, self-care. You hear me say self-care all the time. All the time you hear me say self-care. That's so important. All right, taking the time to meditate. Use your mantras. All right, stimulating the vagus nerve. All right, these are ways to self-care. Reading, going for walks, disconnecting, putting your phone down. That's important. All right, that's all part of self-care. Take that time. Go to the gym. Go for a run. Do whatever it is that you consider self-care that's going to make you feel better. That's going to help you feel better. That's important. All right, we're going to seek therapy too. All right, that's what I did. One of the things I did was seek therapy. All right, that's so important to me. I have it today. All right, the other day I had to cancel it and move it. That was hard for me because I look forward to that every week, looking forward to that therapy, that hour that I can disconnect and unload. That's so important. That's vital to me. All right. If you don't have the means, that's one of the things that we're here for, is peer-to-peer support. Go to support groups. They're everywhere. All right. They're free. Support groups and peer-to-peer support are free. I don't recommend finding a friend or a relationship to use as your therapist. I've said it for years, never date your therapist. That's not just saying your therapist that you go to a professional place, but like using the people we love as our therapy group can be very difficult. It can put a lot of stress in the relationship. That can put a lot of responsibility on someone that may or may not be ready for it. Seek professional help. We are not doctors here. None of us are. I am not. I don't pretend to be a doctor. All right. I'm a mental health advocate. Going to the professionals that know what they're doing. That's what's important. All right. Build healthy relationships. Now, if there was a book for everybody that said this is how so-and-so builds a healthy relationship, that'd be great, right? That'd be wonderful. That's not always possible. Not always possible. You know what I mean? But starting at the groundwork, being honest, building positive relationships with others can help you feel more secure and less fearful of abandonment. Being open, transparency, trust, giving trust, accepting it back. One of my relationships, I was so floored that this person just trusted me endlessly. I eventually took advantage of it, but it was just so overwhelming to be given, that much trust from the start. But it was because I was in a real relationship with an adult. I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready for it at all. It took me time, but use that trust, implement it, let go of our fears, because we're projecting them on other people in our relationships. And that's the hard part. One thing I've always been able to do is that I've been able to reach backwards and find out that my ego, this guy right here, was the problem. All right? He was the problem. His ego was the one that got in the way. His trust issues. That's what got in my way. Oh, a myriad of other things, alcohol, drugs, all that other fun stuff. But I'm just saying, my ego was number one, my bar, my blockade that kept me from having healthy relationships. And thank God they did, because right now, today, thank God, every step in my life has taken me where I am today with the woman I am, and I love the death out of her. You know what I mean? She loves me, and I know that. But the road trod to get here is littered with destruction. All right? Don't do that. I don't want to do that anymore. I still today feel shame for that road. But it led me where I am. Every step I've taken, every turn down a Walmart aisle brought me to the place I'm standing at right now with you and me and my family. All right? So learn from that. Don't discount it. It's all an experience. All right, guys, we are going to go ahead and get going for the day. I got a lot to do today. I got some chores heading into the weekend. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I got a lot planned tonight. I got soccer in the morning. I am a soccer coach for my kids' soccer team. So, that's always I still got to learn this game of soccer, believe me. That's a big one. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. I hope it is the way you want it to be. All right. If you want to have a great day, I hope you have a great day. If you want to have a bad day, I hope you have a bad day. All right, whatever it may be, I hope it's the way you want it. I appreciate you I appreciate you tuning into It's Just Sad Live. I hope you're able to pull something from this, that it can help you grow, that it will help you maneuver your day that much better. All right. You guys have a wonderful one. Thank you so much. Don't forget to check us out on our podcast. It's just sad.live, our website. That's where I put up a new blog this week. I think I put 2 up this week, actually. So check that out at it's just sad.live. Great website. Sign up for it. It's all secure. All right. You guys take care. Bye now. Bye, guys.